Rescue operation is currently ongoing to save victims trapped in a two-story building which collapsed at number 15 Iga Dongaran, close to Oba of Lagos, Rilwanu, Akinolu's Palace, Lagos Island. According to eyewitnesses, the unfortunate incident occurred at about 11 a.m. on Thursday. Many people were trapped in the building. Men of the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority, LASEMA, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, and Nigeria Police, among other emergency responders, are on ground and searching for survivors.
Thank you very much. At exactly 11:08 a.m. in this morning, we got a distress call about the four-story building that collapsed on Igadu Goron, Lagos Island. Of course, it happens on the structure that is on number 15, Igadu Goron Street. 11:05, the structure came down itself. Information we gathered was that the structure had been marked for removal before by the LAPCA agency. However, once we activated all the emergency response plan of the state, and we kickstart the search and rescue operations, because that is very key to building a collapse. However, during the operation, search and rescue operation, 8 victims were removed. 8 people were removed, were rescued. They were rescued alive. And of course, there were 2 other male adults that were trapped. This operation was conducted, was handled and coordinated by the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Dr. Oluwafemi Damilola Okeoson-Itolu. He led the other stakeholders, and we carry out a search and rescue until all of the victims that were trapped in the rubbles were evacuated and rescued alive.
The River State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt has issued an interlocutory injunction barring 25 members of the River State House of Assembly from parading themselves as members of the House. The 25 lawmakers, led by Martins Amawale and loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, had on December 13, 2023, defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. Factional Speaker of the House, Victor Oko-Jumbo, and 2 others had dragged the 25 lawmakers to court, seeking that they should be stopped from parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly following their defection to another political party. Also joined as defendants in the suit are the River State Governor, the Attorney General of the state, and the Chief Judge of the state. In the meantime, the chairman of Ikwerre local government area of River State, located in Nigeria's South-South region, has accused the governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara, of high-handedness in managing the affairs of the state, especially the local government councils. The chairman, Samuel Onwunosike, says that the state government has withheld funds meant for the council for 3 months, making it impossible to pay workers' salaries and cater for their daily needs. He criticized the state government for stalling operations in the local government secretariat, saying the action should be condemned.
Today in our state, local government council funds have been withheld for over 3 months. The governor of River State, Siminalayi Fubara, who has told the entire world that he's a peaceful man, that he's a loving man, doesn't care the level of insecurity that are broken out in our local government areas, the debts that have laid our streets because our workers have not been paid, political appointees are not being paid, everybody stopped. People are dying of their illnesses because they can't pay their bills anymore. And the governor is comfortable telling people he's running 1 year in office when the third-tier government has been having stifled of funds. The governor has dipped his hand inside the coffers of the local government funds.
And on to northern Nigeria, where a delegation of 103 elders from Kano South Senatorial Zone, which hosts three of the abolished emirates of Rano, Gaya, and Kereya, has asked Governor Abba Yusuf to revert to the old emirate law that established the 5 emirates that were dissolved to avoid marginalization. The delegation, consisting of former commissioners and others, was led by Musa Saliu Dunguwa, a former commissioner under the Ibrahim Shukura administration. Dunguwa called on the state government to consider the social and infrastructural development achieved after the creation of those 5 emirates by the immediate past government of Abdullahi Ganduje.
As administrative control in each of the emirates had hindered their progress due to marginalization, leading to an over-concentration of social amenities and law enforcement resources in Kano City alone. The lack of decentralized development efforts had deprived these emirates of the necessary resources for social and economic growth. The decision to amend the regressive emirate law by the State Assembly members and hastily assented to by the Governor, Abba Yusuf, is a significant setback to the progress and development of the emirates. This move not only stripped us of our heritage and potential for growth, but also threatened to reverse the positive trajectory that had been set in motion by the previous administration.
And now to discuss this in detail, I'm joined by legal practitioner and public affairs analyst Tunji Abdulhamid. Tunji, many thanks for coming on. Let's get started. What are the legal, constitutional, better yet, what are the legal, right, and constitutional provisions regarding the appointment and removal of emirs in Kano State?
Thank you for having me. The legal framework for the appointment of emir in a state is governed by the chieftaincy title of that law of that state. Each state has its own law regarding chieftaincy affairs. In other words, the procedure and the manner in which an emir will be appointed is governed by those laws. So the Kano State chieftaincy law, whatever they call it, is a law that governs appointment of emir in Kano State.
Right. Now, are there any precedents or legal challenges related to the sacking and restoration of this traditional rulers in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think the appointment and removal of emir, unlike before, where the emirs were in charge of the government, these days the emirs are no longer in charge of government, and they are even assistant at the mercy of the government, of the governor. I say this because as it is today now, by our constitution, the emirs they don't have any specific role under our constitution. In other words, they are not recognized by the constitution as a system, and their assistance and their role depends on the state law. So in that regard, most of the emirs and most of the Obas are under the control and supervision of the local government chairman. In other words, they are being controlled, they can be directed, they are being paid, salary are being paid by the local government. So the governor has the right to either to appoint and also to remove emir. That is the point I'm making, because the commissioner who's in charge of chieftaincy affairs is under the supervision of the governor. In other words, is acting as agent of the governor, and the governor can either direct him or by himself decide to either remove or appoint emir. Unlike before, where tradition determines who becomes a leader, even though those processes will be followed, the automatic the final decision rests on the governor. The governor determines who becomes the emir or Oba or Ikwerre or whatever that's applicable with that regard.
Very interesting, given the conflicting court orders that have now trailed the Kano Emirates to with the Federal High Court in Kano directing the eviction of Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II, while the Kano State High Court directed the eviction of the disposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayero. So how might this conflicting orders impact the credibility and even the integrity of the judiciary in the eyes of the public?
What is happening now judiciary today regarding emirship tussle is an embarrassment to the judicial process, our country. And it's a confirmation that our judicial system has been eroded with a conflict of interest. In other words, most of the people who are in charge of who are appointed as judges and the lawyers and are compromising. So this is a clear confirmation that some people in judiciary are not doing the right thing. They are not following the law. In other words, judges are some of them are not giving judgment in line with the rules and the law of the land. They are giving a law, a judgment or decisions based on their own interests. Otherwise, we should not be seeing three different courts and then one matter on the same issue. I am aware that look, initially we were told that a case was filed at the Federal High Court, where another was obtained. Again, another one from the High Court, and another one another third one from the Federal High Court. I am aware that if you want to file a case at the Federal High Court, you have to depose an affidavit to show that look, there is no any other pending case in another court similar in respect of this matter. So I don't know, was that not followed? Was that not filed? Or what happened? So if there's a compromise, that is just a problem. It's embarrassment to our system. It shows that our system is not working. People are trying to ensure that look, this system will not achieve its results because of their own compromising position. It is very sad that we are having that, and we are having this continuous repeat of this kind of a situation because people are not being punished. People are not being punished. No, you will not see anybody being punished because this is not the first time. We have seen a situation whereby we have about 5 different orders of courts from a different court in this country. In fact, I think it's Abia or Imo State, there are an issue. People go as far as Kebbi, Kano, and Kaduna to go and obtain an order in respect of matter in Abia State. I'm not sure of the actual state, but it's from the south, and they went to the north to obtain an order to stop whatever election at that time. And to date, I'm not aware that anybody has been punished in that regard. So if you continue to indulge people who are compromising this position, who are abusing our system, we will continue to get this kind of a result. So for me, it's about inability to punish. We're not punishing people who are doing the wrong thing. We allow sentiment to override our interests in this country. Nobody will be punished, nobody will be sanctioned, and the show continues. After a week or so now, or upon the solution of this matter, the issue of judges who intervene in this matter, who compromise their position, will not be attended to again. That will be the end of it. So as far as I'm concerned, is lack of punishment for the people who are doing the wrong thing. It's one of the reasons why we are having this kind of a thing. It should not be happening because the laws are clear. We know the kind of cases the High Court can handle. We know the kind of cases the Federal High Court can handle. And in this instance, the third court at the Federal High Court will not tell me it's not aware that there are other cases already pending before where orders have been made. He will not tell me that. I am aware also that the judge is not supposed to look outside the court to get his information. But as a judge, you are not immune from the society. You know what is going on. You can ask questions. I am aware there's a case already in this matter. Please, can you address me to let me know whether this case and that other case are the same? In that regard, you'll be able to know whether or not you are entering into a case that you're supposed to handle or not to handle. So but because of the personal interest, they won't do that. And in that regard, we'll be seeing or having a conflict of order from the same court of this or same jurisdiction. Because Federal High Court, they are the same coordinate jurisdiction. They are on the same level as in our ranking in Nigeria.
We wait to see what the resolution will be for the conflicting orders because we know now that the CJN has now called both judges to Abuja. So we wait to see what the resolution will be. But until then, only time will tell.
That will bring out a sanction on those earning judges and lawyers. I just hope so.
We wait to see that as well. One thing we know for certain is that consequences are not as heavy as they ought to be. But Tunji, many thanks for coming. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
And that's a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, Tunji Abdulhamid. We'll move away now from Kano and now on to the federal government of Nigeria as they have once again extended an invitation to organized labor to resume negotiations on the minimum wage this Friday. On Tuesday, the Minimum Wage Committee adjourned indefinitely after talks between the federal government and the organized labor broke down. Labor rejected the government's revised offer of 60,000 naira, up from the earlier 57,000 naira proposal. Now, during the meeting, Labor also adjusted its demand, reducing it by 3,000 naira from the 497,000 naira proposed last week, setting the new figure at 497 or 494,000 naira. The Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Ikwerre on Wednesday urged organized labor to be considerate and patriotic in their demands during the ongoing negotiations for a new national minimum wage. Now, earlier, public affairs analyst Francis Chalaka was on the news and shared his thoughts.
The issue of minimum wage too far. Labour has come out to tell government what they think is practicable. I personally would not. I do not agree with 615. I also do not agree with 400. But I believe that federal government should be able to come up and say, okay, Labour, we're giving you 150,000 as minimum wage. That will make a lot of sense. Because if you look at the cost of living today, you will agree with me that 60,000 naira is a far cry for anybody to survive in this country. Even 100,000 or 150,000 is just for us to have a semblance of relief and to be able to cushion the effect of inflation. But otherwise, any right-thinking Nigeria would support Labour when they ask for 615,000. But I think government should be able to come up to about 150,000. That will make more sense because it's really, really difficult right now living in this country.
You're watching news now on News Central TV. We're going on a short break. Stay with us. Nigeria's Supreme Court has given federating states in the country 7 days to file their defense in reply to a suit filed by the federal government seeking autonomy for local governments. Justice Garba Lawal, who led a 7-man panel, also ordered the Attorney General of the Federation to also file his response within 2 days upon receipt of the governor's defense and fixed June the 13th for commencement of hearing.
The suit seeking the enforcement of full autonomy for local governments in Nigeria, which was filed by the federal government, has been welcomed by many.
We are happy that for once the Constitution of Nigeria is going to be tested at the Supreme Court so that we can know that we're actually running a constitutional democracy. We want to commend the federal government for taking these steps to rejig the democratic processes and to make sure dividends of democracy comes to the people of the grassroots. Enough of the high-handedness.
As I speak to you today, out of the 774 local government councils in Nigeria, 331 are run by administrators appointed by the governors.
It is time that local governments have autonomy to run their affairs, to collect rates, and as well manage and report to the people in the localities. And it is easier at that level to hold people accountable rather than a distant governor at the state capital, which the local people don't even know who he looks like.
Many say efficient governance at the rural level cannot be possible without the full and active participation of the third tier of government, which has continued to be hampered by the overbearing influence of state governors.
Governors have literally strangled the local government system of administration, starting from local government elections where the results are written in government houses that are so manipulated that the ruling party simply wins all the seats. Or once in a while, if they want to appear magnanimous, they simply allocate one councillorship here and there to the other political parties.
The local governments were not designed to work. The system that would have made it work, the constitutional provisions failed to guarantee.
While funds meant for local governments from the federation accounts are paid monthly to them through their respective state governments, many of these state governments retain the funds and only release to local governments what they wish.
The joint account was meant to be an account to receive money from the federation and thereafter it is disbursed to the rightful owners. But what has happened that it has become an opportunity for the governors to maintain their fiscal stranglehold on the purse of local governments. So local governments have been frustrated. They don't get the resources due to them.
Justice Lawal ordered that the 8 states that were not in attendance at the proceedings must be served with fresh hearing notice.
The court have ruled on that, and we have no option, so we'll comply.
The 8 states are Borno, Kano, Kogi, Niger, Ogun, Osun, Oyo, and Sokoto. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obonman.
And now we switch lanes from Nigeria now to South Africa, where the collation of votes ongoing, counting is now ongoing, and we're waiting to see the compilation of the full results from the general elections, which happened yesterday all the way past the time for 9 p.m., which was supposed to be the end of elections. But some polling units and booths had to stay way past 9 p.m. Now, switching gears as we're going to patch you now to our correspondent, Bongani Siziba. She is live all the way in South Africa. Bongani, she's been there covering the elections all through. Bongani, very well done, and well done. It's been quite the last grilling or grueling 24 hours. But what's the update so far?
Yes, indeed, Judith. Good afternoon. Quite a hectic day, even yesterday when the voting was happening. But quite interesting results coming in as results are trickling in. And the results that just came in the national ballot, MK overtaking EFF to third position, but this is not the final because results are still coming in. But with me, I have the NEC member and also the ANC member who is here just to talk to us about how they feel as the ANC about these current numbers that we are seeing here. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you for joining us. As ANC, how are you feeling about the numbers that we are seeing here?
Well, we are now at 32.8% of completed results. There's still going to be a long day and a long night today and tomorrow for us to have all these results coming through. Of course, many had predicted that we will do far lesser than where we are today. But we have oversurpassed what has been a prediction against the African National Congress. We now are leading with almost 1.7 million of the 4,132,000 votes that have been validated. We are also observant of what has happened with a new party, MK, that has become the third party in the race. Also its presence in KwaZulu-Natal, having never contested elections. Quite concerning because it is within our own constituencies where we are hardest hit. And I think we need to now wait for the final results and be able to trace exactly where did they actually get the ANC vote. But when you analyze it, it's not only the ANC support, it's also the IFP and partly the EFF support in KwaZulu-Natal. For the IFP to be far lesser than the EFF, than the MK party is also something that indicates that this was not just a party that was hell-bent to contest and get the votes from the NC, but the voters in KwaZulu-Natal identified with it.
Voters were not happy yesterday, especially about the ANC. If you come back to be the governing party, what is it that you are going to do better?
The good thing is that we know that our people have got issues that they want the ANC to attend to. But we're also quite proud of our legacy, where we have been able to deliver a lot of things that were never there for the majority of South Africans. And hence, even in our manifesto of this term of office, 2024 to 2029, we're emphasizing the issues about inclusive economic growth, skills development, job creation, but of importance, the issue of accountability, remaining in contact with the people of South Africa.
Are your doors open for coalition?
We have a mandate that we have been given by conference and then the highest decision-making body in between conference, the NEC. Once the results are announced and officially handed over, the ANC will convene a National Executive Committee to reflect on the outcomes. It will be premature of us to just bypass what is supposed to be an organizational process.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was the NEC member and also ANC member Nomvula Makonyane speaking to us about how the ANC is going to govern better if they retain the power to be the governing party, but also alluding to what MK is doing here, because when I look at the results and people who are also here, when MK numbers are going as fast as I can look at those screens, people alluding to what MK has done in such a short time. Also, there are so smaller parties also that are coming up, but so far we can see that MK is in the top 3.
Well, Bongani, thank you so much. We're going to continue to follow as more stories are trickling in, but it looks like ANC has a hot seat going from under them. But Bongani, many thanks again.
Thank you.
And we switch gears back now to Nigeria, and this time to the southeastern part of Nigeria that has for many years been in the limelight, not only for its industry and enterprise, but for the agitation for cession of championed by the indigenous people of Biafra and other pro-Biafra groups. This agitation gained momentum after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu became the leader of all the pro-Biafran groups, but took another dimension since incarceration. It's been unending bouts of sit-at-home orders enforced by the agitators in the 5 southeastern states for different reasons. Now, News Center's Chinwe Ugeli has more.
May 30, 1967 was the day the Republic of Biafra was declared, which triggered the internal civil war. Although it was a short-lived republic, the agitators find the need to commemorate the day known as Heroes' Day by ordering people within the zone to stay indoors the whole day. Non-compliance with this directive usually meets unpleasant reactions from enforcers. Early in Umuahia on Thursday, there were skeletal movement of vehicles and persons. Banks and shops were non-operational. Fuel stations and motor parks also non-functional. All these were in compliance with the order and partly out of fear of possible physical attack by unknown persons. Some people say they are not even aware of why the whole place looked deserted and decried the economic implications of the sits at home.
Banks are very close and some offices are closed, so it's a very pathetic one. We don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If there's anything to do to handle this, it will be better.
However, some citizens justify the order.
So it has continued to be a ritual, so to speak, that our lost heroes, our sons and daughters, our economy, the region that was destroyed. So we are using this day to remember them.
The day that Nnamdi Ojukwu declared Biafra. So everybody have to sit at home because we are remembering that fateful day.
But since somebody has made up his or her mind to honor somebody, you have taken that day, you are paying a price of that. They are paying a price of honor.
Security agents are seen patrolling the state capital to forestall breakdown of law and order, while unconfirmed report has it that a military officer was allegedly shot dead at Obikabia Junction in Aba with their patrol van set ablaze. In Aba, Enugu, Owerri, Abakaliki, Onitsha and Awka, it is a total lockdown. Although there are intra-city transportation of persons, no commercial vehicle embarks on intercity or state travel within the region for the whole day. For how long would this continue? In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Ugili.
And now to health matters. The Lagos State government has initiated a medical outreach program for all Lagos residents to lower the cost of healthcare. The initiative, known as Alafia Eco, will target the most vulnerable residents in Lagos State, numbering a total of 50,000. News Central's Adeshewa Udushoga reports.
As the nation's economy continues to deteriorate, it is becoming more difficult to buy necessities due to rising food and other commodity prices, as well as the cost of prescription medication and healthcare services. To this effect, the Lagos State government has begun a free medical outreach aimed at providing essential healthcare services to 50,000 residents across the 6 health districts in the state. According to Special Advisor to the state government on health, Kemi Ogunyemi, the initiative, tagged as Alafia Eco, is under the Eco Care Socio-Economic Intervention Program, aimed at addressing the economic challenges in the state.
We also have LASEMA, which is our Ikwerre Eco, which is a health insurance. And the whole idea of that is that when people buy health insurance, for 1 year, they will not have to pay for certain drugs. Now, it's not all drugs, but your basic drugs, your basic care will be free. And that is huge for citizens because they can't get that anywhere else.
The outreach will be done in 2 phases, with the launch of the first one in May and the second phase to be kick-started later in June.
So there's a way they determine here, there's a questionnaire they will use to find out if you're a vulnerable person, someone who can't afford treatment, who can't afford access by themselves, and they will get access to free treatment for a year.
You can see the number of turnouts. The program now that we are expecting 500 today for the first day. By now, the accreditation has reached over 400, meaning that the people are ready.
The beneficiaries here have access to free medical checkups and treatment, HIV counseling and testing, consultation, eye examinations, free glasses and health insurance, among others.
I complain of my leg, then I complain of headache, short of blood. They gave me tonic. The tonic they gave me, when we get to the market, they are selling it 4,000.
I benefit a lot from here today because I don't have the chance. We are just working. You don't have the chance to go to this hospital to check up or anything. It's because of the situation of Nigeria. We are just working that I want to eat. But thanks to Lagos State for giving us this opportunity to come here that bring us medical checkup nearest to us.
The Eco Care intervention, under whose umbrella the Alafia Eco is categorized, covers 4 major sectors, which include transportation, education, health, and agriculture. According to the state government, the Alafia Eco initiative is expected to improve primary health care efficiency and ensure equitable access to quality medical services in the state. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshewa Udushoga.
The World Health Organization says about 30 million Nigerians are living with a disability. Also, the Nigeria Demographic and Health Survey revealed that about 7% of Nigerians above the age of 5 have some level of difficulty in seeing, hearing, walking, or self-care. Inclusive policies are said to be either non-existent or weak. Now, stakeholders say there is an urgent need to improve the current socio-economic situation of persons living with disabilities in Nigeria. Take a look.
Employers in Nigeria have been advised to enhance disability confidence, foster inclusion practices, and promote job readiness for people with disabilities in the workplace. Disability inclusion means including people with disabilities in everyday activities and encouraging them to have roles similar to their peers who do not have a disability. The International Labour Organization established the Global Business and Disability Network to champion disability mainstreaming within the framework of workplace diversity and inclusion.
There's a need for us to be intentional when we are speaking about disability inclusion and intentional in the actions that we take across our various organizations.
Under the theme, Disability Inclusion Incorporates Sustainability, the stakeholders aim to highlight the economic value of disability inclusion and its significance in achieving sustainable business practices.
Persons with disabilities are also part of the system which can be employed to provide all the necessary skill manpower this business is required.
We support private sector organizations
to look at their practices, to look at their policies, to look at their procedures. How can they make them more inclusive?
Stakeholders at the Nigeria Business and Disability Network recognizes that disability inclusion is not only a matter of social responsibility, but also makes good business sense.
I would say, and I dare say, and I've said severally, that every organization that does not have the courage to employ persons with disability or to embrace disability inclusion or diversity in all forms has a lot to lose in terms of creativity, in terms of innovation, in terms of the ability to attract top talents.
It saves everybody a lot of stress, because one of the problems that we are constantly inundated with is, I went to school, I have the certification, I have the qualification, I have upskilled, but I do not know where to meet would-be employers.
By creating a disability-smart business environment, employers can tap into the potential and capabilities of over 30 million Nigerians with disabilities, thereby increasing business revenue, growth, and enhancing brand reputation.
A growing movement aimed at breaking the barriers that prevent survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, from achieving justice is slowly coming to an end. While challenges remain, recent initiatives offer a glimmer of hope for a future where seeking legal recourse is a viable option for all. News Centro's Chidinma Onna filed this report.
For many survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, the path to justice can be daunting and inaccessible. One key challenge is ensuring survivors have access to legal aid. However, the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency is providing legal aid and training workshops to empower survivors and equip lawyers with the expertise to handle sexual and gender-based violence cases effectively.
Now that we have a specialist court that deals with domestic and gender-based violence, the pace of trial has been very, very prompt. Already this year, this is May, we've got 22 convictions already. So that means the court is working and the issue of delay is becoming of secondary importance.
The gender and violence units of Lagos State are really helping. More training for our officers and men, more logistic support, because this is a specialized area. It requires a better office, shelter, and other things, other equipment that will make the investigation of gender-related issue, a robust one.
Despite major advancements, significant obstacles such as societal stigma, lengthy delays in court jurisdiction persist. This is why the introduction of technology and the use of online platforms to provide legal resources and facilitate communication between survivors and advocates is encouraged.
I think majorly unwillingness of witnesses to come to court, which is often caused as a result of misinformation or lack of awareness about the workings of courts.
We have poor understanding of the processes and interpretation of medical reports by the police, judiciary, and support organizations. I think it's much better now because Lagos State has invested a lot of the organizations too have invested, and a lot of people are now aware of what is going on.
For law enforcement agents and promoting victim-centered approach.
The fight for improved access to justice for sexual and gender-based violence survivors in Nigeria is far from over. With the dedication of rights groups, legal professionals, and concerned citizens, the future holds great privilege for many.
And watching news now on News Central TV. There's more after this break. Stay with A Hong Kong court has found 14 of 16 activists and politicians guilty of subversion in the Chinese territory largest ever trial under the Beijing-imposed national security law. The judges, delegated to hear cases brought under the 2020 security law, which does not allow jury trials, shared the reasoning for their decision in a 319-page document posted online. The group was among 47 people, including some of Hong Kong's most prominent supporters of democracy, charged over an unofficial 2020 primary to choose the Democracy camp's candidates for a legislative council election that was later postponed. And for more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Afia, let's get started. How has this case drawn such huge attention?
Well, this is all about Hong Kong's new security laws. Now, these security laws were put into place by China, and like you so rightly said, it introduces a law where you can have trials without a jury with 3 particular judges, and those judges are selected by Beijing. And a lot of people feel that this is Beijing's way of having more control and more over a hold of Hong Kong and of Hong Kong's civil liberties. So basically, this case has drawn such huge attention because of the reasons I mentioned. The civil liberties in Hong Kong are coming under bigger scrutiny and coming under Beijing's rule. Now, the trial of billionaire Jimmy Lai, who was also a newspaper owner in Hong Kong, brought huge attention because he was spotlighted under this national security law. And this law is really about crushing dissent, right? It's about stopping people from criticizing China and criticizing Beijing. And for a long time, Hong Kong has pretty much been its own territory. At one point, it was ruled by the British. Now it's sort of been handed back to China. But Hong Kong sees itself as quite independent from China, from Britain, from everywhere else. It has its own rules. But this security law put in by Beijing brings Hong Kong back much more into China, under China's rules, and basically Hong Kongers are not keen on that at all.
And what has been the reaction to these conditions been like by the international community?
Well, quite rightly, the international community have come down quite heavily on these convictions, saying that they are very one-sided. So the US have said that the trial is politically motivated and calling for those charged, many of whom have actually been in detention since February 2021, to be released. Now, they are accused of this vicious plot, quote-unquote, to paralyze the government. And rights groups and several other Western countries have condemned the verdict, repeating concerns that the prosecutions were politically motivated. Now, the EU Foreign Affairs spokeswoman, Nabalia Masrali, said the conviction marks a further deterioration of fundamental freedoms and democratic participation in Hong Kong. Now, Australia, which is one of Hong Kong's neighbours essentially, has expressed strong objections to the Hong Kong authorities on the continuing broad application of national security legislation to arrest and pressure pro-democracy figures, opposition groups, media, trade unions, and civil society. That's Penny Wong, the Australian Foreign Minister, made that statement. It's also worth noting that one of the campaigners, Gordon N, is an Australian citizen.
Afia, many thanks for coming on. And that was Afia Hagen, our international correspondent. Prominent entities in the capital market, specifically the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and the Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, have raised concerns about the suggested modifications to the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Act No. 7 of 2007. The proposed legislation intends to revise the CBN's independence by requiring its budget to be approved by the National Assembly and by instituting a new coordinating committee for monetary and fiscal policies. Oladipo Ajayi, the head of fixed income and FX at Chapel Hill, Durham, appeared as a guest on the Business Edge show earlier today. He discussed Olayemi Cardoso's numerous strategies to invigorate the economy and enhance the image of the Apex Bank, expressing his faith in Cardoso's leadership. Take a look.
Also look at the rating agencies, how they have actually upgraded our ratings. It tells you to a great extent that they actually support its policies and also the level of openness of his policy. And one thing that comes out again today is that there's nothing that he has mentioned that he did not actually ensure that this thing actually come to pass. and look at many other things. Currently, they are trying to institutionalize the BDC business. Of course, a lot of people are actually frowning at it that, maybe mostly from the operator perspective that, the central bank needs to actually reduce the license fee. But we need to sanitize that.
You've been watching News Now on News Central TV, and that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Court has barred former Rivers Assembly Speaker Amawale, 24 others from parading as lawmakers. Many trapped as two-story building has crumbled in Lagos Island. We also told you that vote counting has ended. Compilation of results is underway in South Africa. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number now showing on your screen. And make sure to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judah at TV.